What is up, everybody? It's Astrid Field here. Today, I want to talk all about the Crank Palace from the Maze Runner series. So, some people who might have finished the Maze Runner series, or just in general, might not have heard of the Crank Palace. And some might have. I don't know. But the Crank Palace is a novella in the Maze Runner series, right? So, there's the original trilogy, right, with the Maze Runner, the Scorch Trials, the Death Cure, and then there's two prequels, the Kill Order and the Fever Code. And then there are a few other series that are in the Maze Runner universe, and then there's some standalones, and one of the standalones is called the Crank Palace, and it is all about Newt. So, if you have not yet read the Death Cure, then I suggest you do not watch this video because there are definitely going to be some spoilers in it. Anyways, so the Crank Palace, right? I think you should read it before you read Kill Order, but right after Death Cure. So you have it, you want to have Death Cure fresh in your mind when this happens. Because Newt, as sad as it is, he catches the flare in the Death Cure and turns into a crank. So Crank Palace is about, what's going on with Newt while he's in the Crank Palace, and Thomas and Mino and Teresa are elsewhere. So it's honestly really heartbreaking, this story, especially when it's a character like Newt, because I love Newt so much. He is one of my favorite characters. So I enjoyed reading The Crank Palace so I could hear more about his story, but at the same time, it broke my heart. So one thing that I really liked about The Crank Palace was how it showed the different levels of catching the flare, which, obviously it showed throughout the book, but, when you're in the Crank Palace, you see the cranks who are past the gone, right? You get there and you immediately see bloodthirsty humans. But then there's also the cranks who are just starting to slip into it, like Newt. And then there's the cranks who, oh gosh, what was I saying? There are, kind of in the middle, one of Newt's friends that he meets later on. Not, his family, his adopted family that he stays with, but, one of his companions when he goes out into Denver to help bring his adopted mother to her child. So I honestly believe that Crank Palace is an essential read for this series, especially since so much of it ties into Fever Code, I feel more specifically the prologue of Fever Code, because then you know who Lizzie is, who Newt's sister is, because in the Crank Palace you find out at the end of the book that Sonia is actually Newt's sister, and they don't understand why Newt was able to catch the flare and Sonia didn't because she was immune, etc., etc. And honestly, I just love the fact that what Newt's biggest motives were in this book, because it racks my heart to see him like that, but at the same time, it really shows his bravery and his courage, that no matter what was going on at the time, he just wanted to show that he could do at least one last good thing. And obviously, we know that he cares about his friends, because he had to make a really tough decision to shun Mino and Thomas and Brenda away. Especially doing that to Mino would be really hard. But he had to shun them so they wouldn't have to see him turn into a crank like that. And I am curious because towards the end of the Crank Palace, Newt says that he feels like Keisha, who is a woman who takes him in, along with her son Dante, um, like Keisha says that she. Oh no, sorry. Newt says that he thinks Keisha was immune to the flare, which now kind of makes me think something like, did she have anything to do with Wicked at all? Because I don't see why she would. But then again, like, she's got the phone, which is not something that everybody here has. She also, I mean, she didn't really show that many symptoms of it. I mean, you never know. Newt could just be wrong. But she also talked, because also, like, when they were first saw those other people, towards the beginning of the book, when Newt first met Keisha and Dante, and then those people from the Bird came, and she was like, don't try to test us, we have the flare, okay? Sometimes something I just makes me feel like maybe she had some kind of purpose in helping out Newt. And obviously we don't know that for sure, and that's just a little theory of mine. But I mean, then again, there was everything with her daughter going on and how they left the Krang Palace to go get her daughter. And it also, it's just curious to me, if her husband was a crank and that's why he killed everybody else, or I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah. Plus, I just love being in Newt's perspective, and it is honestly heart-wrenching to see him slowly lose his grasp of humanity, and it really does break my heart to see. But at the same time, it's really interesting to see scenes that both Newt and Thomas are a part of, but for them to go down in Thomas's perspective, or in Newt's perspective rather than Thomas. And if I'm being so for real, it honestly made me, like, dislike Thomas a little bit. Like, more specifically, at the scene where Newt is in the bowling alley, and then Thomas, Brenda, and Mino come in, and then Newt is like, I can't believe they did this after I told them not to. Why can't Thomas just let it go? Especially since Thomas was, like, holding hands with Brenda, and then, like, Newt describes it as a child. That kind of makes me think, like, because, like, obviously we know what Thomas thinks about that in Death Cure, but through Newt's perspective, it makes me mad at Thomas. Like, bro, why would you do that? You know, like, it does seem kind of pathetic, especially since, like, if you really do care about Newt, and I know that they do, but, like, if they really do, then I just feel like they have to have so much more grace for him. And I know that it's a really complicated situation, and I bet it broke their heart. But either way, I think Krang Palace is a must-read. I love being in Newt's perspective, and it is really, really sad, but it's really interesting, and I think that there are some really crazy things in there. And yeah, that's about it. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for watching.